Raymond Clark isn't here. Am I right? So that means you, Oscar. It's your turn. Oscar Alpers.
I'm rather used to things taking longer than they should.
Well, so are we, actually. You're only just slightly ahead of time.
I'm here really just to add my voice to those who've urged the council to follow a slower course and hang on to its investments. And it's an attractive argument that you put something aside for a rainy day and then draw on it on a rainy day, well, which sounds appropriate, but it wasn't actually put aside for a rainy day. It was the acquisition of strategic assets that were important to Christchurch. And if the rainy day was the earthquakes, I'd kind of agree with that as well. But the rainy day really was a management failure here at Christchurch City Council to adequately ensure the council's assets. And it's not a cause for which I would care to see us losing what was built up over quite a number of years. I particularly wanted just to mention one asset that's dear to my heart, and that's the port company. Something I've had a long association with. I think I was a director of it for 8 years as a city council appointee. But my first involvement with it was as a seagull or casual watersider back in the 1960s when I was a university student. My father was a close friend of Mr. Cashin, who was the Harbour Board engineer who was behind Cashin Quay. I was on the transitional committee in 1988. Probably most of you don't know this, but the port was privatised and the Littleton Port Company established in, I think it was 1988. And the transitional plan initially did provide for the shares to vest in the local authorities, but in the meantime they were held by the Littleton Harbour Board. And the Littleton Harbour Board thought that the local authorities were the worst possible owners of the port, and the Harbour Board had a plan to sell down all the shares in the port company prior to amalgamation in 1989. And I think I can honestly claim that it was due to John Gray and myself and probably David Stock that we actually blocked it. We argued that the Littleton Harbour Board held those shares in trust for the new councils that were to be formed in October 1989, and the Harbour Board abandoned its plan to sell down those shares. I was involved with quite a significant effort in the mid-90s. I just haven't been able to research exactly when it was, but the port company, after making capital distributions actually was short of capital, and a share issue was raised, and in the course of that the Christchurch City Council decided to take up all the required shares to the extent that other local authorities wouldn't. And it was a smart move at the time, and got the City Council into a position where it held a clear majority of the shares on the port company. And it's been a good investment and will continue to be a good investment. I felt proud of the council that it got its shareholding in the airport up to 75%. It was originally 50%. The government agreed, this was back in the 1980s as well, agreed to council buying out half the government's share. And then I see Wellington, with its airport now effectively in the hands of Infratil. But it's not as if that relieves the ratepayers, that the Wellington Airport Company has its hand out to the local authorities for the money to extend its runway and increase the capacity of its airport. I think it was a tragic decision made there not to retain its airport. So can't offer you any wisdom on the solution there. I've merely picked up what those who've been arguing, but it strikes a responsive chord with me that the just take it at a slower pace, because I think we've lost a lot of opportunities for quickly restoring our central city, and putting things back together at a slower pace is the more logical thing to do.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Always good to see you. And it was interesting to listen to that history too. I haven't heard the word seagull for a very long time. Excellent. Margaret Coghill.